4 minutes until showtime. Three minutes until showtime.
Ready, spaghetti. Do you want me to be video off until you call me in?
Two minutes until showtime. One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed at his properties. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is reelected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late.
Hey, Jan.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. Today, to join the conversation, just come into the chat room here on youtube.com/liberaldanradio, because in a second, we're going to go to our special guest. To support the show, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please remember after the show to also go and interact with all the videos and like and comment on those to help the algorithms as well. And because that's the best way to get the main goal, which is to get the sub count up to 1,000. But without further ado, we're going to go right to Britt Gandolfi. She is a friend of the show, former candidate for the Louisiana Senate, and hopefully we are going to be doing a monthly segment, hopefully, Talkin Shit with Britt. So without further ado, here is Britt Gandolfi. Now you can go ahead and unmute. And welcome back on the show.
And it is a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure to have you back on. And I wanted to, I was reminded to basically have you back on when I saw the couple of Instagram posts where you had talked about how you had recorded your concession speech to Beth Mizell, the opponent, who won. And Beth was a little perturbed about the fact that you invaded her privacy by recording the conversation and posting it to social media, which was odd for me in two ways, and I'm sure to you as well, at least in two ways, because A, as a legislator in the state of Louisiana, she should know that Louisiana is a single consent state.
I'm recording right now. I'm recording, just kidding.
Hey, I'm recording too, so there you go. So as long as one person involved in the conversation consents to the recording, nobody else needs to know. And secondly, for somebody that supports such other horrible legislation that are violations of people's privacy, like draconian abortion bills, such a small thing like recording a conversation doesn't seem to me to be something that one should be upset about. But again, maybe she had a couple extra Merlots during the conversation, and maybe that's why she was upset.
We can get into all of our theories about why was Beth upset. No, this is an older woman. You know, she ran for office after her longtime husband had passed away. She jumped immediately into politics. And I was surprised that she didn't already assume that if she got a call from me, it would be recorded. I'm an elder millennial. I'm putting my entire campaign on social media. You know, and she said to me while she was scolding me at the Board of Supervisors suite of the LSU game, she was like, I thought we were going to end on a good note. You know, I was sincere. And I was like, I was sincere too. You know, I was just recording. I was going to be as sincere as I possibly could be. And I do wish her well. Like, I'm an aspiring Buddhist. I hope to wish everyone well. But if I'm an older woman and this younger kid all on social media is running against me, I'm going to assume that if she calls me, it's being recorded. And I think that Beth was just upset because she might have laughed at a joke that I made about her taking ALEC bills, and she might have sort of admitted that the exceptions bill that died in the House last legislative session that asked, like, well, what do you mean, just no abortion at all, no exceptions? That bill never made it to the Senate. And she brings that up on her own volition when I'm just like, can we meet? And Beth, if you're watching this, I still think we should meet. It's like, I ran against you so we could have a debate about how much power the state has. And she apparently only wants to have those debates, you know, protected in the Senate in her little, you know, committee hearings. She was not willing to have the conversation on WDSU. She was not willing to have the conversation at the NAACP forum, at several other forums that were held. She's avoided any opportunity to speak her piece.
Right. It was a very controlled campaign, and it worked for her, but it was...
as a mouse. She just released some fake news, and she was done. She was like, I'm done.
She wanted control, and you took control away from her, and she was very mad about it.
Well, I understand. Nobody likes to be recorded, you know, for sure. for sure. I mean, as much as I put myself out there in the social media universe, I don't really like or enjoy recording myself. But it's a part of the freaking work you got to do if you want to run for office in the 21st century.
One has to assume that all parts of your political life is going to be recorded. Like,
it blew my mind, and it's just like, I might have made a few memes that pushed a little too far in the edges, but my concession call, that was hard for me. Of course I'm going to record that shit. That's my moment. That's my moment where I'm like, all right, congratulations on getting the 20,000 voters you had the past 2 elections.
Right.
Fuck you to the 70,000 people in the district that didn't vote. Right. And like, thank you to like the near 4,000 people that voted for me. Like, namaste.
Exactly.
So I don't understand. Don't be a sore winner.
Right.
That's my thing. Senator Mizell, please don't be a sore winner. You didn't even show up to the debate, mama.
And those people, had, I mean, you did whatever outreach you could do, but it would have been nice for, some sort of party mechanism to come out and get the vote out, so to speak. Maybe support some of our statewide candidates, maybe support some of our local candidates, maybe make sure that our gubernatorial candidate made the runoff. But,
well, you're going to take $300,000. If the party is going to take $300,000 from the Sean Wilson campaign, you would have thought he might have just had a bus.
Right. Right. And that's one thing that I didn't know about when you told me. I was shook when you told me that the state party took $300,000 from his campaign.
They take from every candidate. They have the thing called the vote builder. You organize your text banking, your phone list, your walk the street list. They buy this software from the national party.
Right.
And if you want to run for office as a Democrat, you have to pay to get access to this.
Oh, the cost for the statewide vote builder is $300,000?
No.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
I think it's like something embarrassingly affordable, like $100,000.
Okay.
Could someone fact check us on that?
Okay.
But I do know that if you run for Senate, it's $2,000. If you run for a statewide position, it's $10,000. If you run for like a Bessie district, it's like $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It's like based upon the number of people you're trying to reach. Now, I'll just tell you, Dan, there are states where when you run as a Democrat, you just get access to that shit for free because they fundraised to purchase access to the software. And they're giving out that information like it's candy, because if you want people to win, give them the tools that they need to contact the people that they need to politically persuade, seduce, to get out and fucking vote. And so our party is like, oh, I've got a great idea. Let's recruit candidates and then be like, hey, could you like give us like a couple $1,000 so we can like give you the information you need to be successful? It's the dumbest shit. The Republicans?
I was about to say, do the Republicans charge their candidates for that stuff?
To hit up some of my Republican friends and be like, yo, bro, can you like hook a sister up? Like, the Republicans just give that away. And do you know what else the Republicans do beautifully?
What do they do?
They tell other Republicans to stand down. At the executive races, I'll say that it's a Republican shit show of everyone trying to show up.
Right.
But I'll say it more at the local level, at the legislative level, at the Bessie level. You rarely get any R on R action, right?
Right.
You find that?
I saw some, like in some districts, I did see, like recently, like I have seen some. There's a guy that I know who did challenge some, incumbent Republican. He didn't win, but I've seen some, people that I knew who are like lesser knowns, I guess, who challenge the incumbents. But yeah, I mean, you rarely see a lot of Republican. I was frankly shocked at the amount of Republicans that were in the Secretary of State's race, because they were playing with fire in that one. Because
actually, they kind of did what the Democrats normally do, which is flood the field.
Right. Because had the Democrats done their job in that election and gotten the vote out, especially in Orleans Parish, you could have had 2 Democrats in the runoff. With the few Democrats and the many Republicans in that race, you could have seen Greenup versus Morrell. And
wild. I've seen Greenup 100%. Just putting that out there.
And I was sitting there watching it. I was like, well, when the Orleans Parish numbers come in, it's going to be interesting. And then the Orleans Parish numbers came in, and they were quite unimpressive. And I'm like, well, that's the fault of the party.
Well, you know, there's a lot of blame to get passed around. The Buddhists say you should direct all your blames into one, and that's like the person in the mirror. You know, we can only start with ourselves, but you know, I'll take accountability. I should have started much earlier. I should have ran as an independent, as I originally had intended to do, and not joined. I would have paid less in my qualifying fees. I wouldn't have had all the negative associations that people in this area, when they're like, they don't think about Democrat and think like working class, protect the poor, get your health care. They think like the gays are coming to seduce my children. Like that's kind of, I think.
And kill the babies.
And kill the babies.
Right.
Which, I mean, I'm like, don't jail the doctors.
Right.
Give women money to have babies.
Right.
Mind your own fucking business. How's that feel? Does that feel good for everybody? Like, let's prevent it by supporting women having children, and then let's mind your fucking business and just not jail doctors. How's that?
Right.
Like, get it. You don't like abortion. Don't have one. Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it.
I bet they'll be the first ones that do it. Because they'll find the excuse. It's different.
I think all the time.
For me. It's different for me. I have the exception. I need to be able to do it.
Well, everyone is pro-life until life happens.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I might want another choice. And I, as a stoic asshole, told myself, I'm like, if I lose, this is God's way of saying
90 seconds.
Has got to feel some karmic consequences. They effed around. Now we have to find out what these laws really mean.
Right.
And I think it is honestly unfortunate poetic justice and cause and effect that we will be cursed. We will be cursed with a racist theocracy that is completely morally out of touch with any sort of like humanitarian unifying force. They are an us versus them machine. I mean,
Louisiana's
like,
going to be the Handmaid's Tale for the next 4 years.
Bruh,
And
we literally just signed up to like make every Mardi Gras about forced birth, you know, in the most violent, oppressive, polluted. Like, our water is the dirtiest, our air is the dirtiest, our schools are the shittiest, our jails are the fullest, our history is the hardest, most violent, savage thing, you know, we are the picture of colonization and hell in America. And now we're going to make women give birth, no matter what.
Yep.
It's like, da, 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 da. You know, and like they would think that I am the devil. The people advocating for these criminal policies that deal with the issue of why does a woman have an abortion, they would think that I'm the devil.
Right.
You know, but projection's 9/10 the law. You put your finger out at me, 3 pointing back at you. You know, you call me a baby killer, you probably for the death penalty, bro. You killing someone's grown baby. And just because like 10 white people said they think he might have done it, and they probably wrong.
At the night of the election, I was sitting there like, look, we're going to have to, we're going to be the model of the nation as to why republicanism is, this is the Republicans' chance to show either why they're right, which they're not, or why they're an utter failure, why their policies are so terrible. And what's made it, and what I wasn't even expecting to happen on election night, is that not only do we get to see it on a statewide level because they have utter control of the state. Now we have a Louisianan, as horrible Louisianan as Speaker of the House and House.
The whole nation.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, all eyes on me.
We get the microscope.
Not in a good way.
Right.
I want to tell the entire country, like, we are so liberal. We're so woke, we don't vote. Like, if we showed up, we'd know where everyone in Louisiana really stands. But I think for the most part, most people that live here are flipping out. And it's just kind of sad that everyone was like, oh, I forgot to vote. But there were also like 4 football games. It was by design, that we had this low turnout so that this sector of our population that is so loud and well organized, like props to you. I guess when you're living for Armageddon, you don't mind bringing the fascist theocracy around.
Right.
You're just fulfilling the Book of Revelation at that point. I got a duty.
One of the things that I'm going to ask Councilman Morell and Aaron and Jolie in the Mod Squad, remind me if I don't get to this, is that because I don't remember, and I can't figure it out, I couldn't find it, what is it, an ordinance in New Orleans, or is it a state law? Like, what sets the date of New Orleans elections? Because that's another thing that I feel could have helped.
State. It is the Secretary of State.
Well, I don't know, because sometimes there are some issues that with the Orleans Parish Home Rule Charter that help New Orleans kind of govern when those elections are. Like, Kenner has like weird elections in like April. Like, Kenner's elections are set like different times than everybody else. So if Orleans would set their municipal elections on the same time as the statewide elections, that might help drive turnout up in Orleans. Meanwhile, Orleans had only one like court judgeship election going on. Meanwhile, Jefferson Parish had all of their councilmanic elections going on, and St. Tammany had, I think, their
council.
I don't know if it was a full council, but it was at least the parish president, I think, election going
on.
No,
the full council.
The full council. All right.
During this time, there was a lot of elections happening.
Right. I mean, except Orleans. Orleans decided that we're going to do it on a different time, and therefore that potentially leads to turnout being less on statewide elections for Orleans, which only serves to help conservatives in statewide elections.
Wow. You just blew my mind. Everybody's got to run at the same time.
Yep.
Everybody. None of this, we don't do it over here. No, because we can barely get a motherfucker to vote. We all got to be on the ballot together. Everybody could be like, who's my dream governor? Who's my dream president? Like Louisiana.
And New Orleans tends to like New Orleans elections. So they'll come out for New Orleans elections, but then we get fatigued because of all the other elections that are going on. And then they're like, another election. Ugh. And
I know. I hate it too. We all hate it too. So let's just do it. Let's get it out of the way.
Especially when we think, if Landry's going to win or Republicans are going to win, then why are we going to bother to show up? Well, if we showed up because we want to make us have a say on who's going to be mayor, who's going to be council, who's going to be DA, then we would still, let me vote for the Democrats in the statewide race too, and then we would probably have 2 Democrats in the Secretary of State's runoff. We would probably have at least a runoff in the governor's election and not have given it to Landry in the first. So that's something I'm going to talk about with JP Morell on Wednesday. So,
well, I would just like to ask Jeff Landry and Liz Morell if they would just like to start the Supreme Court case in which they're going to prosecute a group of people for shuttling women out of state to go and receive abortion care elsewhere.
Right.
I'll just be like, hey, I volunteer, you guys. I'm going to start like a nonprofit. It's called like Go to Hawaii and Have an Abortion and Come Back. Like a new form of ecotourism. And we'll just get the lawsuit started. Like, I think we should ask these people who are going to power, it's like, okay, let's just go ahead and do it. Like they talk this very, I'm pro-life and I care about the lives of people and I care about safety. And it's like, why don't you just do what you actually want to do, which is a witch hunt? It's like, I noticed that once Jeff kind of got his prize, I felt him like step back away from some harder positions and stances that he's taken.
Mm-hmm.
And back to this point of Louisiana showing itself and us kind of entering fully into this like complete power grab by people that do want to throw medical, practitioners in jail and undermine people's bodily autonomy in the name of their religion. Let's just get it started. I just don't understand why the rest of the country doesn't give a fuck about the South. I haven't really felt the love. Like, as a liberal in Louisiana, like looking out at all the other liberals elsewhere, I feel like we're at a dawn of, like litigation for human rights. And the rest of the country just could give two fucks less because everything's falling apart so fast in other dimensions. I don't know. I just went on a tangent. Forgive me.
I mean, we probably need, like, at some point we're gonna need civil rights workers to come down and come protest like they did in the 60s.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna need people to come down and assist, and then, hopefully not happen what happened hopefully not have what happened in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
What happened?
Well, that was when I think it was two Jewish people and a black person got murdered, and then they wouldn't prosecute it, and so that's
people
why you
will
needed
be killed.
Right.
Like, no, when the state is infringing upon people's rights and people are speaking up and people are telling other people to shut up, people always get killed.
Yep.
Like, it's by design. It's to deter people from, scrapping in any meaningful way. I don't mean physically, I mean like metaphorically within the system.
Right.
But yeah, we should have progressives outside of the country pouring money and resources and people into the South, because I don't know, if it happens one place, it can happen everywhere,
Well, maybe the Democrats nationwide look at the state of the Louisiana Democratic Party and they're like, well, that's a fustercluck. We can't really do anything about that until they replace the leadership.
Well, I can probably guarantee, or at least I only assume, that they're like, that seems like a plant to me.
Right.
I don't know. If a leader is so ineffective that it causes one to wonder, are you being this ineffective on purpose? Or is this just incompetence?
If she wasn't paid for by Landry...
Or are you incompetent?
If she wasn't paid for by Landry, she should be, because she basically helped Landry, and she didn't do anything else.
Well...
and not the good Landry, the bad Landry.
Well, failing to put out a statewide mailer for the governor's race... Look, let me put it this way. I didn't feel the faith coming from her, and I'm trying to be very careful so I don't get sued for defamation, but I didn't feel that she had faith that Sean had a chance. In the very same way she didn't have faith that Gary Chambers had a chance. In the very same way the Democratic Party thought Devontae Lewis didn't have a chance. In the very same way they thought that Mandy Landry should lose her chance. I did not feel the faith from her. And as a candidate that needed help fundraising and getting my name out there, and as look, let's look at a map of Louisiana. It's like, here's Baton Rouge, here's New Orleans. This is my district. No Democrat ran in this district, and one Democrat ran in this district.
Right.
Neither myself nor this woman got any love from the leader of the party. And we are vying as the two Democratic women for this entire fucking area. I was pushed out of rooms and pushed out of conversations with others in which the leader of our party was taking a statewide candidate to go meet someone, and purposefully with an earshot of me saying, I'm only taking you. I'm not going to take her being me, Britt, the woman running for Senate District 12.
Right.
Which was shocking. It happened on multiple occasions. She blackballed me from going and meeting with the governor at a LSU game that I was at, when I had already had an hour-and-a-half lunch with the governor, thanks to his older brother, who was a supporter of my campaign and independence. The chair of our party was like I'm like a pauper. I'm like, ma'am, I've met the man. I need to ask for his endorsement as well.
Right.
Because I'm running for office in the parish he's from. And this woman had the audacity to literally bully me out. Lindsay Cheek was attempting to pull me in to go meet with the governor, and Katie Bernhardt pushed me out. And I'm the only viable, real, not a shill, not being paid to break the vote candidate in this entire geographic region. This happened at a football game. This happened at a college game. This happened at fundraising events. There were times that regional candidates had a chance to speak publicly, and they just don't. They do not elevate, or they have failed to elevate the unique stories and platforms of all the candidates running. They should have been doing profiles on everyone, email blasts on everyone, and talking these people up. They didn't even send a fucking email on my behalf. They cut me out of the vote builder the week of early voting.
Oof.
Like, some things felt like sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some things felt like, why am I requesting Ed Wisham to approve a list so that I can send a text message when I paid $2,000 for the software? What's up with the 24-hour waiting period? You know, like, there's just some things that are dumb, and I want to see the books. Like, I don't know any board attorneys in Louisiana, but I swear to God that the level of nepotism, double, triple dipping, taking from candidates, delivering zero results, zero tangibles. Like, I want to see the tangibles. Like, what are the hours of the personnel? And also, pause in my rant, the people that work for the party, like, who are out there canvassing and tabling, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. No complaints. They're doing as much as they can, and they're working as hard as they can. It is literally the leadership that makes you higher. And, like, I have been a stripper, Dan, but I have never seen a woman have the keyed up audacity to, like, ask someone for a check for a candidate in a rude way, the way that I saw Katie Bernhardt ask for a check from someone at the Windsor Court. She's like, "You're gonna max out to her?" I'm like, whoa, bro, even in our hoe days, we softened them up. You'd be like, you know, she could really benefit. Like just the way that this one time I saw her ask someone to max out on Lindsay Cheek, and I was like, oh, are y'all good like that? Like, y'all can talk.
Yeah, I mean, unless you know the person really well, that could be taken really the wrong way.
That way.
Yeah, no.
I engaged the person's response, and I was like, I don't think we talk like that, bro. But okay, you come from a different world than I do, you know. And if she genuinely is not a mole and she really wants the Democratic Party to be successful, the kindest thing that she could do would be to resign, because she should admit that she's literally sabotaged potential successful candidates and poured money in opposition. Like, what? I got to give the party $100,000 and we can knock out, like, one of our most wonderful House reps with someone. Like, all of these things have to be called into question. All of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know how Katie feels, but judging by how Katie acts, I don't think that Katie believes that a Black man can win.
No.
Nor do I think that Katie believes that women who focus on reproductive rights issues, you know, should win.
Well, according to Gary Chambers, from what he has said, she specifically said that she doesn't believe that a Black person can win statewide in Louisiana, let alone, I don't know what her problem was with the Devontae Lewis, because that's not a statewide seat, but still, he was still going up against an old white dude. But, you know, it is my opinion that Katie Bernhardt is never going to support a Black person for a major political office. She will,
or a true progressive, or someone unapologetically advocating for reproductive justice and freedom. You know, like, she thinks that a Democrat's got to shoot a gun in a commercial, and it's like, do we have to? Do we have to play that game? Like, I hope not. Jesus. You know, but, like, let's just be honest. Like, Katie comes from an oil and gas family. So, you know, just because her father, what I've heard, you know, was a very well-known Democrat, doesn't mean that his kind of Democrat is today's kind of Democrat.
Right.
And, you know, this is certainly the environmentalists lost. You know, you got Jeff Landry and Liz Morrell fucking bitching every time the EPA wants to be like, you know, we should really do something about that clean air in Louisiana. They're like, let's get into some litigious BS. Like, instead of just letting the Environmental Protection Agency do their job.
Right.
Louisiana's like, nah, we're good here, bruh.
And
We
it
don't need
used to be.
EPA. Like,
It used to be that the hunter game hunter wildlife fisher type people would support the environmentalist type people, like the Save Our Lake people used to work together to like clean up Lake Pontchartrain and work together because they believed in having clean water and having cleaner environment, because not only was it good on the left hand side to have breathable air and drinkable water, but the people who were out there hunting and fishing and otherwise trying to get animals for sport or for food understood that if you wanted to do that, you needed to have a clean environment in which to hunt or fish or whatever. And nowadays they don't care about that either.
Funny how that works.
They'll go fish for their Simpsons three-eyed fish.
I mean, this is where I'm like, the labels of liberal and conservative, Republican, Democrat are going to kill us all, because it's just like, let's just be honest. It's either poor people or corporations. Like,
right.
Cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit. You either want your friends to keep on making as much money as they fucking want with fucking everyone over, or you're like, hey, we shouldn't fuck. That's it. Those are the two political parties, like oligarchs or people, period. And it's like,
But as long as they can convince a big chunk of the poor white conservative people that they're better off than the people in New Orleans, which means black people, and that one day they're someday gonna be able to lift themselves up to be millionaires, and as such don't change the tax code, because if you change the tax code and they one day become millionaires, despite the odds of that never happening, or that's never going to happen, most likely, that it's like the same arguments that kept a whole bunch of poor white Southerners fighting for the South, even though most of those people would never own a slave, because they thought, well, one day I might. And if that one day I'm finally able to own myself a slave, I want to, gosh darn, be able to do it.
It's wild. It is wild. Yeah. Like, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't want anyone to take any of that hard-earned money from me. It's like, bro, if you had $1 million, you probably had other people working hard for you.
Right.
But I don't know what to say, Dan. I don't know. The political labels are killing us. I got the mailer from old Liz Morell, and she's like, Lindsay Cheek is just another woke liberal. I'm like, well, what do we want? A sleepy conservative?
Right.
A dreaming, delusional person who's trying to hold on to some of the worst political philosophy we've seen.
I want to see all the conservatives there were conservatives attacking her for weren't she getting attacked in campaign ads for being horrible under Jindal or something, like losing court cases under Jindal? Like, I want to see all those conservatives now try and backtrack and be like, oh, we now support her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I remember seeing some of those ones, because it's been interesting.
Find those and send those to me, please. We need to bring them back. We bring back some vintage Liz Morell pieces.
That was that was this election, though. That was in the primaries, coming from like the people supporting the other conservative running or whatever. Like,
Stefanski put out some shit.
I think either that or people supporting Stefanski from some PAC or something. But like, I'm just because when I ran in 2004 for Congress, I ran against Jindal, and I'm just sitting there going, it's so interesting how many people hate Jindal now. It's just like, wow, why weren't these people
wild?
Why aren't these people this enlightened back in 2004? Why couldn't they see what I saw? But I guess I was ahead.
God wants us to learn, because God is like, y'all gonna learn. Y'all gonna learn.
I'm a hipster. I'm a hipster. I didn't like Jindal before it was cool.
I mean, same. He was like hocked up on the death penalty. He's one of these Republicans that's like, we need to show these criminals what happens. It's like, we need to treat children well, feed and house, shelter, and care for working people, and make sure that nobody's destitute.
The biggest thing about him that
shocked me.
And
you change everyone that's psycho.
Right.
The emphasis that, like, if we show them that we're going to kill them, they'll stop killing. I'm like, I think you need to go read your Bible one more time. Just go one more time.
Well, the thing that was amazing to me
Yeah.
was that his solution for eliminating the deficits in the Louisiana Department of Health way back when was to shut down all of the rural clinics and force people to have to travel from like the North Shore to New Orleans to be able to make them less likely to get preventive care. And like that's how he turned a deficit into a $2 million surplus. I'm like, why are you running a surplus running the Department of Health? You have no business running a surplus running the Department of Health. It's not a for-profit company. Your job is to spend that money making people well and keeping people well. But he was viewed as the hero.
Our politicians literally get praised for turning away our tax dollars from Washington. Be like, these poors don't need it.
Right.
They're all like, look at them balancing the national debt against the backs of Louisianians dying of cancer. Our heroes. These fiscal conservatives are just, they're sending all that money back to DC. It's like, I don't understand how people don't understand that use it or lose it. You know, like we have resources that are available to Louisiana that we have politicians turning away.
Right.
Like this is psychotic.
And then we had, like during COVID, we had all that extra Medicaid money, so more people were able to get on Medicaid, and they didn't pull people off Medicaid for years, and now they're starting to check people's income again, so people are now going to get kicked off of Medicaid at the end of the year. And doctors have been saying, it's been nice because I've been able to do my job, because with Medicaid I've been able to treat people and give them the care that they need instead of having to fight the private insurance bureaucracy and have people make hard decisions. Well, I can't pay my $3,000 deductible to get this treatment that I need, so therefore I'm going to just pass on getting this needed treatment and let my condition get worse. So
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Well, they want us sick, dying, and fighting. I think, you know, everyone's like, the machine's not broke, it's working just fine. You know, sick, dying, and fighting is how the oligarchs want the poor to go down.
To them, it's not a bug, it's a feature, to use more software development parlance.
But we still gotta fight. We still gotta try. We still gotta vote and try to just figure out a better system and advocate for it becoming reality. I would like to advocate that everyone either pick a party and vote or make another party and vote. I really don't give a shit. I just wish people would start getting engaged. I don't care if it turns out that we're all dumb as fuck and the same people keep on winning. I'd just be like, well, guess we got to start in the preschools, try to teach people the golden rule, you know. But like at the end of the day, Louisiana getting lost to this MAGA conservatism just hurts because they're a minority.
Right.
The minority is going to control the majority. That's kind of like scary for me.
Well, it's like that's what they did in the House of Representatives. 8 people were able to control who became speaker. You know, because they had to make sure that 8 people were happy with whoever got picked. Otherwise, they were never going to find somebody. That's how we end up with Johnson.
This brother right here. My blind boyfriend is this brother. What the hell? Like, I'm just like, Louisiana. Like, I'm like embarrassed to walk around the country just now because it's like, oh, we're all gonna think that we like hate people who are gay. Here's our boy, you know. And it's like he didn't even have anyone run against him the last time he ran. Like, what?
Right.
Like, can we start a club? Can like we immediately right now start recruiting candidates? Like, I'll volunteer. I'll run against Beth again. My daughter already told me she wants me to. I'm thinking I'm just going to continue to campaign. I'm going to like leave the bank account open, leave the website. I got some leftover postcards, and I'll just be like, I'm just going to start writing people postcards and being like, look, 4 years from now, shit don't work out with Beth, you just call Britt. You know, or we should all just start running now.
Right.
It's the only way that we're actually going to change the archaic, oppressive, tax system, environmental system, health system, and school system that we have going on down here, and carceral system, all the broken systems we got, we need to completely replace the Senate and the House. So we need to find 39 super dope ass people to make great rules, get along, and do good shit. And then we need to find 105 for the House. That's it. Like, for the next 4 years, anybody who gives a shit about Louisiana should just be like, who the fuck are these 39 and 105 people that are going to get all of these people out? Like, what would happen if there was just a 4-year concentrated effort to be like, we will change the guard?
Get out everybody to vote. Get out all the people who don't want to vote. Get out the youth vote. You know, get out the young people. Say, look, we want to make a difference. We want to do it now, but it requires major organization, and I have no faith in the current party, which means the first thing we need to do is to replace the people in the state party who support KDB.
Nobody's there. Like honestly, she's lost a lot of her supporters. There were people in the DSCC that were supporting me who just like fucking got pissed about some things that they, you know, witnessed. And I think she lost all of her peeps in New Orleans. I think the Black community is like, go fuck yourself. You know, one time for Gary, twice for Devontae, and a third time for Sean Wilson. You know, and I think Troy Carter is probably really embarrassed, you know, that he had advocated for her.
I don't know. My state rep from 102 was all up on Mandy's opponent. She was all touting her how wonderful she would be, and I'm like, what? What?
Good for Mandy. Good for Mandy just to have the strength to continue on and say, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I'm a rep, and if you don't like what I represent, then please sit the fuck down. You know, I mean, poor her. Like, I'm so glad she won like that. Ugh, what a fucking relief.
I I was just telling her, I was like, I hope you destroy her. I was just telling her like a couple days before the election day, I hope you utterly destroy her. Because I think it was after her WDSU forum. I was like, after she tried to claim that Mandy Landry voted to have open carry in the state, and I was like,
yeah. That was ignorant.
Did, and I was like, she did not. Stop it. And then she just continued to double down on it and triple down on it, and I'm just like, no. I hope you destroy. And then she did, and then technically, I was like, I made my petty video where I was like, congratulations, Madison, you won one precinct. One.
Well, I mean, my thing is, Madison, I hope you run again, but this time, let's go against a Republican.
Yeah.
Why don't you take all that? You got it, girl. You're on the street. You got the perfect Instagram. You got the groupies with the balloons and all the shit, and the name tag, and like you fucking got your merch. Great job. Take that energy. Go find a Republican. Like, don't run against a Democrat. It's easy. Like, it's so easy.
Right. I mean, she can move again. It's fine.
I mean, I would have had better odds beating Robbie Carter. I'm like Robbie Carter's sister. I ran for a House seat. You know why I did it? Because the Democrat ad.
Right.
It's a good Democrat. Little white boy Democrat. Keep on going, Robbie. You keep on freaking emceeing, you know, the African American Heritage Museum's, you know, fundraiser. You keep going. I didn't run against Robbie. I ran against the Republican, which meant I had to go for a Senate seat. It's like, Madison, we needed you somewhere else on the board. And you chose to be a pawn to play out someone else's political grievance with this progressive woman. And from a progressive woman to a progressive woman about this progressive woman, you were destined to run against a Republican. And you missed that calling. And you're going to be stigmatized with this, you know, why did you run against Mandy? It's not like you're really from there. You can go live fucking anywhere.
Right.
You know, you could have run for Senate. Why didn't you run against McMath? Shit, girl, like go to the North Shore and take that swag elsewhere. You know, it's not even like fuck her entirely, but just like, why do we do shit that makes us lose?
Because Democrats love to grasp defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Look, if you have a hard time selling the fact that you just want everyone to have a house, a good job, or at least enough money to survive, a good place to go to school, and you want people to mind their own business and respect people's rights and choices and dignity, if you're having a hard time selling that platform,
right,
there's something very deeply wrong with the Democrats. It's because they're controlled by the corporate elite too. I mean,
right.
That's the bottom line, is that there's deep-seated oil and gas exploitative industries that rely on this place being a clusterfuck. We make 25% of the nation's petrochemical plants. They do not want anyone that cares about clean air, clean water, and basic human rights getting their ass up in our legislature. You know, you're going to go down like fucking Huey Long if you had any chance of making these assholes pay the amount of taxes that they deserve to pay.
Right.
And that's for me is my liberal conspiracy theory, is that it's the oil and gas, it's the insurance agencies, you know, it's the pharmaceutical complex, it's the fucking party life that keeps us all distracted, and it's just that they can keep on like raping us environmentally and financially, and everything else is just rent services.
Yep.
Crack the code. Louisiana Da Vinci Code. Done. Closed book.
Now, if only we could put that into practice and then fix everything. And my only problem is then we got to deal with all the gerrymandering too, because they're probably going to redraw the districts even worse now and just say like, okay, here are our districts. Now it's even worse. Now you really have no opportunity to fight back in any district, because we're going to make the liberal districts more liberal, the black districts more black, and then the other districts are going to be, you know, Republican and more Republican districts. So
I think we need FOIA requests on everyone that writes maps. I want to know what data they're looking at, whether it's, you know, race of the household income. I want to know, with, you know, the massive network of data that we have out there that's purchasable, I want to know what data they have that makes them draw the line, you know?
I think it's just the racial census. I think it's just the racial information, because if you look at when I was looking at the district when I ran and I saw what District 2 looked like, it was basically like, oh, here's a black neighborhood, let's draw that into District 2. Here's another black neighborhood, let's draw that into District 2. And they just kept drawing black neighborhoods, and that's what they did here. When we lost the seat, it was, okay, well, let's take all these black neighborhoods, let's just go up the river and find our way all the way up to Baton Rouge and find those black neighborhoods too. So shove everyone into one.
You know, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. You know, yeah, okay. So just keep on segregating, I guess, is the plan. That's wild, Dan. It's wild. It's wild to have been a woman born in 1988 and have grown up with like PBS and access to libraries and, you know,
right,
the internet at a formidable age. You know, the internet was popping for us in high school.
Right.
You know, we were doing research. We were doing media literacy shit. They were like teaching us how to use the internet. They were like, here's a phone, kid, get on TikTok, fuck off, you know. Like, we were nurtured in. There was dial-up. And just knowing what little I know, I'm appalled that we're still doing the same shit. Like, we all watch these documentaries and we're like, oh, Vietnam, or, you know, oh, civil rights movement, or oh, the suffragists, or oh, the Jim Crow era. You know, it's like, it's kind of like still going on, but it's much more insidious and evil,
right,
and horrid. Like, just different. Same, but different.
Yep. It's a Anywho, so anything else you want to throw out there before I let you go?
Well, just a thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me bitch and pontificate and talk shit. Well, you know, and also JVE, what the hell? That was one thing I forgot to leave out.
Right.
This governor's got to be out here TikToking every day. Just be like, please, bitches, vote. You know, like, give himself permission to use an expletive or something. I'm sure he's feeling it. I don't know if his Catholic self is going to let him air his disappointment with Louisiana. But for God's sake, the man got elected as governor twice. Like, can I see more of him backing candidates loudly?
Instead, he's congratulating Landry. He's congratulating Johnson. He's congratulating all the Republicans, and I guess trying to exit peacefully.
Darling.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to support your own party before
Right.
you're not partisan. But whatever. We're gonna find out he was a dino the whole time, honey. We're gonna find out.
Well, that abortion pill. Yeah.
But God bless him. I wish he'd just do a little bit more to appear to be a true Democrat.
Right.
I just want to let him know, like, sir.
Just because he talks tough against Trump doesn't necessarily make him a good Democrat.
Bro, you cannot be congratulating this Johnson, man.
Right.
Like,
no.
Like, sir, stop that. Didn't you veto those laws that Johnson just salivates over? Just like,
right.
There's a certain part where no, I'm done, Dan. I'm done. I've left it all on the field. I left my whole heart on the field on the Liberal Dan podcast. I appreciate you holding the space.
Oh, my pleasure. And we could do it again next month if you want. It could be a monthly thing if you want. I'd be glad to have you.
If you want to have Lindsay Cheek out here, let me know.
I mean, she messaged me on Twitter, said that she wants to come on the show. It's just a matter of her people getting in contact with me. So whenever that happens, it's going to happen.
I'll be her people as of tomorher.
Are you going to be her people as of tomorrow? Okay.
I'm volunteering.
Okay. Well, nudge her people then to say, hey, let's get this going, because she specifically messaged me on Twitter saying I want to get on your show. So we're gonna make it happen.
Show. You tell me when, and I'll get her.
Next Monday or Wednesday, next week, anytime, either day.
Scheduled. Yeah. Got it.
Perfect.
Roger that, Dan.
All right.
On the Liberal Dan podcast. Okay. Have you had Dustin yet?
I've not had him yet either. He could have the other one. He could have the other day next week if he wants.
Okay. And Dustin on Monday, Tuesday.
No, Wednesday.
I'm a soldier now. Now I'm just a soldier helping people get elected.
Awesome.
Talk to you later, Dan.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. That was Britt Gandolfi. I shared the link to her campaign page, which should have everything on that for everything. All of her contact information is on that page as well. And hopefully every month we will be doing the Talkin Shit with Britt, which I came up with and should be a fun new thing to do. And when I came up with it, I was like, I came up with it, and I was not expecting her to go with it and say, yeah, that's a great idea. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, are you sure you want to go with that? She was like, yeah. I'm like, perfect. Sounds great. So we'll be doing Talkin Shit with Britt once a month, hopefully. So maybe off weeks, months for if holidays get in the way, but whatevs.
It is what it is.
I believe we've had Khalil on the line for a very long time, so let's go quickly to Khalil. Yes?
Hello.
What's going on, my man? What's going on? Can you hear me? Hello? Thought I heard you, and now I don't hear you. I'll put you back on mute. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but unraise your hand and re-raise your hand if you want to be able to talk again. So, sorry about that. Elizabeth and a guy named Brittany who lives in Louisiana, striking resemblance. Not Spears, eh? So, anywho. Anyway, so that was a fun little bit. Just remember, we are Khalil put himself on mute. Well, I put Khalil on mute because he might have put himself on mute. I don't know. But just remember, when the one little bit of information came out and some of y'all started commenting on it and had to delete Wes's comment, We do not shame here on Liberal Dan Radio. We are a sex-positive podcast, and we consider all such professions to be valid professions. So we are not going to be mocking or making negative commentary about such things, regardless of what you think about them or what you think they might have an impact on you, whatever political aspirations one might have. We are going to stay positive about such things. So that's why I deleted the comment. That is why we are going to continue to be positive about such things. Anyway, let's push that real quick. I do speak for myself. That's why I have a podcast. And since it's my podcast, I will speak for the policies of the podcast too. So one of the things I wanted to talk about last week, and part of what I wanted to talk about last week that I remembered as I was playing the music to come out of the show, and I was very much reminded of it all weekend, is the because last show was the why we must stand up against anti-Semitism wherever it is. And the royal we, Wes. Anyway, so we must stand up against anti-Semitism wherever it is, wherever it resides. And I remember, I was also reminded of it, what I wanted to talk about this today when Tara Dublin was on Hal's show, because Tara Dublin was talking about her bit of anti-Semitism that she had to deal with at the party that she was at, because some dude made some comment about her nose, and that was inappropriate. And then she was like, well, she was talking about her anti-Semitism that she dealt with, and she gained 500 followers on TikTok, and Hal's eyes was just like, ugh, TikTok, because we all know Hal hates TikTok. Well, here's the thing. There's a bunch of anti-Semitism on TikTok, just like there is everywhere else on the world. So, in my opinion, And there's, I do have my disagreements. I've talked about this before. My law firm that I work for hired a third-party company that deals with cybersecurity and other stuff, and their cybersecurity expert gave a virtual presentation via video about all the different ways to be safe in your company. And then at the end of his video, he plugged his own TikTok channel. So if this cybersecurity guy feels that it's perfectly okay to have a TikTok channel, then, I might be trusting this guy over Hal on that particular issue. But that being said, regardless, there is anti-Semitism and a whole bunch of fat shaming too on TikTok, and I've had to deal with both over the last couple of days. And it is my opinion that you always have to stand up to anti-Semitism. You always have to stand up to bullies wherever they exist. So if the bullies and the anti-Semites are going to be existing on TikTok, you need to stand up to them on TikTok. And if you don't, if you allow them to be there unchallenged, then you allow them to fester and grow unchallenged, and that's not okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean I embrace the TikTok, so to speak. I mean, I do post videos up there, and I more use it as a tool than anything. I understand how, algorithms may be used to push certain videos towards users, and that's maybe why Hal thinks it's malware. But then again, YouTube uses algorithms to push videos towards me. That's, for some reason, I'm seeing more manosphere type toxic masculinity posts from the Fresh and Fit morons and stuff like that. That's why I've been having to do my Fresh and Fit reaction videos and all those other whatever podcast reaction videos, because for some reason YouTube has decided that they needed to show me those things before I started doing those reaction videos, which is what was the catalyst for me doing those reaction videos. So we need to stand up against anti-Semitism wherever it exists, and if we don't, you allow them to win. And I'm not going to allow anti-Semitism to win. I'm going to stand up against them. I'm going to fight against them. And I'm also going to stand up against Islamophobes. I'm going to stand up against people who are going to be bigoted against Palestinian people as a whole. Because there are people who conflate Palestinians with Hamas and vice versa. And those people are wrong as well. But there are people, I mean, you've seen it today. There were death threats on Cornell's campus. People who saying that they were going to sexually assault women and throw them off the hill. And then who were going to unalive Jewish men walking across campus. Who simply just for being Jewish. There were many other examples of on-campus anti-Semitism going on at I think it was Columbia, or was it either Cornell or Columbia, various other places going on, and it's terrifying. The people will use whatever is going on in the world that happens to have a Jewish person involved and use that as a justification to be bigoted and terrible towards anybody who's Jewish. So, Wes, calm down. So, anti-Semitism is the new woke for conservatives, except for the fact that they won't stand up to their own people who are anti-Semites. Like, they won't stand up to the people who wear the 6MWE shirts, which stands for 6 million wasn't enough. They won't stand up for, they won't criticize Trump for saying that both sides of the Charlottesville rally had good people on it. Nobody who marched alongside Nazis shouting blood and soil and the Jews will not replace us was a good person. You cannot march next to somebody shouting those things and be a good person. Sorry. So, it's not happening. And you have a whole bunch of people on those platforms who are trying to justify, from the right, those people, and then from the left who are trying to justify Hamas, calling Hamas freedom fighters, calling Hamas, denying that Hamas killed people on 10/7, denying they killed children. Every single time I say that Hamas killed children, they're like, well, Hamas didn't behead children. I'm like, did I say behead? No, I didn't say behead. It's getting to the point where I'm going to have to say, whenever I say that Hamas killed children, I'm going to say, I didn't say they behead children. I'm going to say that I said that they killed children. And despite the fact that I specifically didn't say behead, some idiot's going to come behind me and say Hamas didn't behead children. Or I'll put that into text. I'll be like, put text over the videos. Like, notice I didn't say behead, I just said killed. But some idiot's going to make that comment anyway. Just like I do with the so-called voter ID laws. When I predict that my criticisms of the voter ID laws are the non-ID provisions. The provisions that have nothing to do with showing a ID to vote, and those are not my problems. The problems are the other provisions. But I always predict that somebody's going to come along and say, well, what's wrong with showing a voter ID to vote? And of an ID to vote. And I'm like, I just predicted that you were going to come say that, even though I'm not criticizing the ID provisions. I'm criticizing the other provisions that have nothing to do with that. So, Aaron, I'm not believing one random guy over Hal. I'm believing a guy who is an expert in his field that my employer used to educate people on cybersecurity over somebody who is not an expert on cybersecurity. So, like, if there was somebody who was giving me their opinion on stand-up comedy or acting lessons or singing, like, I would definitely give Hal the benefit of the doubt over that guy. And Hal is very educated and very learned. He has very astute political opinions, and I agree with Hal on 98.2% of things that he says at a minimum. I think he's great. I think he says a lot of great things, and a lot of things that he says, I'm like, thank you, somebody else is saying the things that I'm saying. Like, we are many times on the same brain. But on some things, no, it's not. Like, I don't think Hal thinks people should be using medicinal marijuana or something. Like, I think I heard him say that one time, and I'm like, if it works for you, it works for you. So... Tim, Dana thinks she was overreacted. He was an idiot who was drinking. She used her platform to get Leia. I disagree, Tim. And the reason I disagree is because A, know the room, and B, know the atmosphere that in which you are speaking the words that you're speaking. Like, I could maybe... If the whole Israel-Palestine current fight, Israel versus Hamas current fight wasn't going on, if you were not seeing inflamed anti-Semitism just blowing up everywhere, then maybe you might have a point. But because you're seeing anti-Semitism, now I mean, Tim, are you Jewish or are you not? I'm not sure what religion you are. I'm not sure if you were raised, what religion you were raised in, what religion you currently are. So I'm not going to make any assumptions because I don't know. But as somebody who was raised Jewish, who is ethnically Jewish, and who currently has my threat level raised at the moment because of all of the stuff that's going on, if somebody drops a comment like that, it's gonna raise my ire a lot more than it would. Now, it also depends on the person, because I had somebody who I used to consider a friend of mine, and he might have made a joke like that to me. And if he would have made that joke like that to me, I would have just chuckled and said, okay, fine, because he and I had that sort of relationship, but I knew that it was not coming out of a place of hatred or ignorance or bigotry. At least I assumed that was the case. Now I'm not so sure. But if somebody who's a complete stranger feeling comfortable making that kind of comment towards a Jewish person, yeah, no, that's not cool. It's not okay. And I'm perfectly... It's not like she named him by full name and doxed him and said, here's this person's name, address, phone number, employer. He's a Jew hater. Go to town. It's not like she did that, but, you know, the people at the party now, I guess, know that and just not going to invite him back to the parties. But it's not like the entire internet knows his first and last name of his firstborn children, etc. So... Let's see, Elizabeth, too many people don't understand details like Hitler measuring the length of people's noses and distance between their eyes with calipers to determine if they were Jewish. I mean, you have the History of the World version where they just look down the pants at Jewish, eh? And TikTok Trucker John may very well be trash. I only have like 3,000 followers. Again, I don't know how to do the social media thing apparently, because I can't get followers for crap. I can barely ever get over 5,000 views on any video over there. So again, I don't really know. I guess I don't know how to do all this stuff, but you know.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But again, it's about standing up, fighting anti-Semites, fighting misinformation. There are people on that side who are trying to tell me what anti-Semitism means, who are not Jewish, trying to tell me, a Jewish person, what anti-Semitism means. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Get over yourself. Jeff Curry. Has anyone watched King of the Hill? What in the hell? God damn it. I sell propane and propane supplies. Anyway. Wes, I'm hoping his name wasn't really Steve. Why? Because Steve's such a uncommon name. I mean, there's plenty of Steves out there. It's not like anybody's gonna know who he be, who he is, etc. Anyway, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a very long time because I feel like a really big tickle in my throat coming up. And I'm going to go ahead and do a commercial break because I need to take a big old gulp of water. So I'm going to go ahead and do a commercial break for the first time in a very long time and take a very big long gulp of water. Thank you, Jolie, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes with more Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.
Are you planning a trip to Disney soon? Do you want help avoiding spending mistakes and making the most of your vacation? Then check out budgeteers.com, a new site devoted to helping you get the most mouse for your money. What kinds of tickets should you get? Is the dining plan a good deal for you? Should you stay on grounds or not? Should you buy park hoppers? Many other sites are filled with information about what other people like to do, but Budgeteers is geared to help you make the best decision for you. So check out budgeteers.com or go to youtube.com/budgeteers and help make your trip the best it can be. Budgeteers.com is not a travel agency and it is not affiliated with the Disney Corporation or any of its holdings. In a world gone mad, one progressive will do a bad movie trailer guy impression to get you to listen to his show. There's only one thing that I like better than the Liberal Dan Radio minicast. Alright, Bill, that's enough of that. On the Liberal Dan Radio minicast, you will hear an honest discussion of the day's issues, with some personal bits in between. You might even hear what the other side has to say, sometimes even in their own voices. So become one of the Liberal Dan family, because family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. To hear those bad impressions and more, tune into the Liberal Dan Radio minicast. Talk from the left, that's right. And I think to myself, what a wonderful show. Yeah. If you enjoy Liberal Dan Radio, there's many ways that you can support the show. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can like me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter or TikTok. And you can become a Liberal Dan Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you can get a shout out. Higher levels get the opportunity to vote on what I do next on the podcast, the minicast, or on YouTube. You can even buy commercial advertising or sponsor bits. So go to patreon.liberaldan.com and support the show today.
Hey there, podcast listeners. This is Deminox, host of The World According to Knox. It's time for Season 2, where I take you on another trip through my world. The world of movies, video games, pop culture, and more. Relate them to the world around you. Don't forget to leave a question for Marscat, and find me on Twitter by the handle XDeminox. That's the letter X like X-Men, DEMINOX. Now enjoy the rest of your podcast.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. Thank you for tolerating this short break. I needed to take a big old gulp of water, and we are now back talking about the issues of the day. I do want to give a shout out to the Liberal Dan Radio patrons. We've got, let's see, I got Robert Reynolds, Wes Webb. We've had support from Megan, Bill P., Jolie, Aaron, Angie, your boy Chris, Cesar, Demonox, the first Liberal Dan Radio patron, and Julie Swenson, the first Liberal Dan Radio producer. It seems like that stopped in September. So, but it's fine. I appreciate the support. Any and all the support that has been given by any and all of the people who are supporting the show for as long as y'all have been able to give. I appreciate everybody for all the support. Of course, the most important thing you can do to support the show is to like the channel, at least at the moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, and like and comment and interact, share other videos that I put up, because that will enable me to get more interactions, that will drive the algorithms, and it will allow me to hopefully get up to 1,000 at some point in the future. Again, as I did some bad impressions over that thing, I did do apparently a good impression before we got left to the break with my what the hell, god damn it, imitation of King of the Hill. I made one time way back in the day, back when that voice was also Mr. Anderson from Beavis and Butthead as well, same guy, or not the same character, but same voice actor, and basically it's the same voice. I made my own, like whenever I had a message, or whenever I would have a notification on my computer, I had it go, what the hell? So every time I got a notification, like an instant message on like AOL Instant Messenger, or something like that, it would just always go like, what the hell? What the hell? And it was hilarious. So anyway, let's see if Khalil is back and is available to talk. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, what's going on? How are you today? Can you hear me again? I heard you say hello, and then I can't hear anything else. I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know what's going on today. I don't know why we can't hear past the hello. Wait, I think I heard something else again. You there? I don't know. Something's going on, man. For some reason, it's the Illuminati trying to interfere with you being able to trying to interfere with us. Trump just attacked Bill Barr in a violation of gag order. Ty Cobb on CNN. Ooh, let's go see. Trump. Because Bill Barr would be a witness, and as such would be somebody who would not be. Let's see. This is from like 11 hours ago. Trump responded by attacking Attorney General Bill Barr, a potential witness in the case, while continuing his public assault on Chutkin. I called Bill Barr dumb, weak, slow, moving, lethargic, gutless, a lazy rhino who couldn't do the job. He just didn't want to be impeached, which the radical left lunatics were prepared to do, Trump wrote just 75 minutes after the gag order was reinstated. Bill Barr is a loser. I mean, he is going to end up in jail, locked up, because because ultimately the judge is again going to realize that fining him isn't going to stop him from yapping, and as such, he is going to continue to keep yapping and yapping until the judge decides, I'm going to lock you up, and then after that, there's going to be some massive protests, I'm sure, from the MAGA conservatives who are going to be very, very mad that they locked up Herr Fuhrer Donald. Why is Twitter telling me to follow Cat Turd? Holy crap. What's up, P-Dubs? Good to see you. Sorry I didn't respond to your email. That I just saw your email today. I had a very busy weekend, and sometimes I don't even check the email over the even on the days of the podcast, especially when I'm not anticipating an email coming in. So I'm very sorry for that. So anywho, what was I gonna do? What was I gonna say? I thought I had something up here on besides the stupid thing. Oh God, Elon Musk is back on the word cis is a heterosexual slur. Shame on anyone who uses it. Boo hoo. Cry me a river. Elizabeth, I don't know why that I could tell by looking at anybody. I mean, there are some people who I could look at and say, like, you know, what they call Judar might go off, but you know, it might be other things other than, you know, looks. Maybe, like, you know, something they say or something they wear that might, you know, tip me off. But, you know, if their name is Barry Goldstein, I might also think, hey, that person might be a little Jewish. But then again, I was interested in somebody when I was in high school, and her name was, I think it was like Becky Schwartz or something, and she was not Jewish. And I dated somebody whose name, her name was Christy Hennessy, and she was Jewish. Go figure that out. And of course, you have Tara Dublin. Her name is completely Irish, and everyone thinks she is an Irish lass, but she's also a fellow Jew. So you never know. Wes, house arrest in Trump Tower. That would be hilarious. Hold on. And they're just responding to a text. Anyway. Oh, P-Dubs. Okay, cool. I will hopefully let's see if I can hear P-Dubs beyond the hello and see if this is just a technical issue on Khalil's part, or if it's more than just, or if it's not, or if this is a Blog Talk Radio issue. So we're gonna go to P-Dubs. Hey, P-Dubs. Can you hear me?
P-Dubs beyond the hello.
Hello. I hear noise. I heard noise. And then I hear nothing. That's weird. I don't know. I think something's going on with the Blog Talk Radio phone line. So we're just probably not going to be able to do phone calls today, I'm assuming. I'm assuming phone calls is just something that's not going to be something that's going to be doable today. Maybe Blog Talk Radio has to figure out their issues with the with their phones in and of themselves. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Can you have house arrest in a building in Trump Tower? Yeah, it's weird. Like it said, like, I didn't hear anything. I didn't unmute you, but and we were hearing you, but I don't know. I guess maybe it's saying unmute, or maybe it's saying muted, but then it's not muted. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking is going on, is that if it says, once it says unmute, if it says mute again, just keep talking and we'll see what happens. So let's try 3, 2, 1, unmute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I don't think she can hear me. Or either that, or I maybe I can't. Maybe it did go back to muting her after that. So I can hear a little bit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
It's like a bad Verizon commercial.
I don't think I'm hearing you say anything.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So we're just gonna go back to mute. It's Blog Talk Radio. What do you want? So yeah, we're just gonna have to not do phone calls for the day. So we'll just hang up on P-dubs. I don't know if Khalil's listening through the radio or listening through the phone or not, so I'm not gonna hang up on Khalil. However, you know, it is what it is. Well, I hung up on you, P-dubs, because I could hear you a little bit, but clearly you weren't hearing me, so I just hung up on the call because there's phone call issues with Blog Talk Radio today, so we're not going to be able to do phone calls today. Unfortunately, you get what you pay for, right? To Trump Towers apartment, so yes, Mar-a-Lago zone is not zone as housing. But all I'm saying is that even if it's house arrest, I mean, we don't know the size of Trump Towers apartment because Trump said it was one thing in one filing and another thing in another filing. So how do you really know? How are they going to mark out the areas? Because Donald Trump keeps lying about what size. How are they going to mark out the ankle monitor, right? See, Big Hook, the Jews will not replace this chant from Charlottesville, and Trump saying good people on both sides was the neo-Nazis' call to arms. Trump is an existential threat to all minorities. Exactly. That is exactly 100% spot on correct, Big Hook. I agree with you totally. That was when they knew that if they didn't know, well, I mean, there was other things from beforehand, like him calling for the total and complete ban of Muslims entering the country. That was one little hint that he was going to be on their side. Him sharing that image of Hillary Clinton with the Star of David over money, that was another that he got from like 8chan. That's another little hint that was given. Him hesitating on talking badly about David Duke was another little hint. But him refusing and hemming and hawing and trying to say that there are good people on both sides of the Charlottesville thing, that's when they knew. That's when they flat out knew that Donald Trump was their guy, that he had their backs, and that they had a pure white supremacist in the White House. Yep, because they marched down the street. If you're marching down the street and you're shouting blood and soil, you're marching the Jews will not replace us, and the other people marching next to you don't leave the premises and don't leave your side, then I'm going to assume that those people marching right next to you tacitly approve of whatever it is you're saying. Because, look, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to be marching. You're not going to be saying those things around me. I will leave. I will not take part in that protest with you. Even if I agreed with the other thing you're protesting and you start saying that, I'll tell you to get the F out or I'm going to leave. Because, nope, we're not on the same page at that point. That's what it be. That's what it is. And usually that people will say guilt by association is not a correct thing to do, but in this particular case, it is. Because if you hang out with Nazis knowingly and willingly, I have no reason to trust you. I will not. There's no reason for me to trust you whatsoever. Hold on, where is it? I lost my thing. There it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you. Wait, here's this. This clip might be better.
I'm sorry for being a white supremacist.
That's the better one. Trump will be forced to sell Trump Tower. Nothing would make me happier than to see the name changed in bigly letters to E. Jean Carroll Tower. That would be wonderful. I wanted to call in and tell a joke that would offend everyone. I guess I can't. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. You could email it to me. I could read it and see. Maybe I'll tell it if I don't think it's too horrible. liberaldanradio@gmail.com. I'll probably like it. Then it'll determine if I actually will read it or not. So let's see. What time is it? It's 9:30 my time. Do I feel like doing a coming to terms? Not coming to terms. A response video to this. There was one I think I wanted to do. Another one that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Let's mute that a second while we get the thing open. Oh, there's this one. This is the one I want to talk about. Abso-frickin-lutely. This is the one I want to talk about. This is the one I want to react to. Abso-frickin-lutely. We're gonna do this one. I watched a little bit of this one, and this is just terrible. And that's why we're gonna talk about it. If Dan likes the joke, it's a terrible dad joke. That's not necessarily true. There are terrible jokes that I like that are not dad jokes whatsoever. There are terrible jokes that I like that are from all sorts of genres of jokes. I run the gamut of all terrible jokes, not just dad jokes. Give me some credit where credit is due. Anywho, so let's alternate. Hey, it worked correctly this time. It's actually coming up with the correct one. Let's. What am I to do? I'll put this here somewhere. Put this over at the bottom. Put this over here, over here, over here. So people can still do that. So we're going to start recording this because, you know, right. And again, just a reminder that the topic of conversation here is a little bit of adult-minded. So if you have kids in the room, you might want to have them shush or whatever. Let's see, what kind of glasses do monsters drink out of? I should know this one. What type of glasses do monsters drink out of? What kind of monster? Just tell me, because I'm blanking on it. I should have heard it already, but anywho, so this is one of the ones. So we're again, just as a reminder, anybody who hasn't seen me done one of these reaction videos to to Unravelling Toxic Masculinity. At the end of reaction, Frankenstein's nice. The Jewish joke on The View was an old Jewish man was given a prostitute who promised super sex. He replied, "I'll have the soup." Taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha. Anywho, so just a reminder, after I'm done this video, responding to the video, I'm going to say, you know, if you like the video, leave your agree, disagree, leave your comments below, like, subscribe, whatever. But I'm not really ending the overall live. Just remember that or know that if you haven't watched me react to any one of these before. So we're going to start this reaction in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another Unravelling Toxic Masculinity. This is another reaction to the Whatever podcast, and this one is Why a Woman's Past Matters. It shouldn't, but we are clearly going to be hearing from these people as to why they believe that a woman's past matters. And again, this is I did watch a little bit of this because I mean, I had to do a little bit of research on this too, just to kind of see. And well, there's some adult conversation, adult topics here, so just be forewarned if you're watching this video and there happens to be any kiddos in the room, it might delve into some adult type topics. So without further ado, here is the video.
Oh, we have a photo.
Oh.
Nick, I think. Don't worry, she's wearing. No, she's wearing pants.
Scared.
She's not naked.
Jesus. I was scared for
So
her.
I saw that on Twitter.
Okay, so here's this guy, and just if you're not familiar with whatever, he will have a lot of people who come on the show, and a lot of the times he'll have like OnlyFans persons or other people who do like adult films, and the person in the picture is this one right here. And here she is posing with that.
Yeah.
There's another photo that we definitely
what is your
can't
mom?
show. There's another photo that we definitely can't show.
Jeez.
So,
and clearly the other photo that they definitely can't show is one that's of an adult nature.
Molly, I love you, but that photo and the corresponding photo that comes with it, I gotta be honest. It sounds like you're in a relationship, you're happy, are you in love? I don't know. That photo, though,
We're just friends.
it's gonna be a wrap for like 90% of dudes, sons.
Well, here's the deal. I can understand potentially why somebody might not be comfortable dating somebody who does porn. That's fine. I mean, fine. There are people who want to be in sexually committed relationships. As such, you're probably not going to want to be in a relationship with somebody who does porn. That's fine. I understand that. But if you're going to be judging people on their past, but here's the thing. He's not just saying that the other picture to which he's referencing would be done. He's saying that the first picture would be done. That if any guy would see her with a picture with that guy just by itself, that 90 whatever percent of men would be done. And when I heard that, that's just racist. Utter and complete racism. That why would I see a picture of her and him and just be done? Why? Because there's a picture of her and him, or maybe she dated a black guy. Oh no, she dated or had sex with a black guy. The horror of it all. But again, that is absolute, utter racism. Because again, he's not just saying, because of the other picture, the more graphic picture, and we can talk about that one in a second because I went and looked. But he's just talking about if anybody saw that particular picture that they would be like, we're done. I'm done. I wouldn't date you. If you wouldn't date somebody because you think that she might have had sex with that guy, not seeing anything else, you're racist. Just on that picture alone, you're racist.
They see that shit. It is a rep, son. They see the other photo. Right. If you see that picture, it's a rap. And then he goes, you see the other photo. I can't show it. It's not YouTube.
What is the other photo?
Let's just say, somebody get me a fucking...
Can I see it at least?
A Coke. Pretend...
I should have brought the dildos I just... Oh my god.
Wait.
Doc Johnson sent me these butt plugs.
I'm sorry. Like...
I love this talk right now. This is my favorite talk ever.
I gotta say, 99% of men, if they know that photo...
See, I don't know if he's speaking for 99% of all men. He may be speaking to 99% of his audience. And that's one of the things that they often confuse. I think when he says 99% of men, he's talking about 99% of his audience.
Those out there. You can't be wifed. I'm sorry.
I
It's
don't
a wrap.
want to be wifed by them if that...
And right, why would she care if whatever percentage of men are out there would not want to wife her because of whatever she did with whoever she did? Why would she care if they were intimidated or whatever by it? If they didn't want to, why would she then care? If those dudes couldn't handle it, then who cares? Why would she care? Their loss.
I'm just saying.
Do you want to be wifed in general?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? In the dark recesses of your husband's mind, will be that photo.
And maybe in the recesses of her husband's mind that maybe the husband's like, cool, that photo is awesome. That photo is hot. If he's talking about the second one and not the first one. If let's, in a hypothetical situation where I'm not married and I'm in a situation where I'm dating this chick and all of a sudden, like, she says, hey, this is my ex and here's a picture of this guy. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to think anything of it. But he is thinking about his inadequacies right now because he's thinking about that second picture. And he's probably making assumptions that because this guy is a very big, tall, virile man, and he may very well be stereotypically built for a person of that complexion in the industry. And as such, he would not think that he would be able to compete with such a person in the industry.
Pretend this is not this color. Okay? It's huge. Like, imagine.
Now, there's a funny part coming up here, so...
How, like, you're...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, one time...
Am I insecure for that? Like...
Yes, you are absolutely insecure for that, and we're going to get into that in a moment.
No,
I'm sorry. It's a wrap.
Do you want...
It is a wrap, son. I can't... Okay, sorry.
Do you want children?
I'm getting worked up. I'm sorry.
I do want children. I feel like I know where you're going with this.
Well, okay. I guess I want to ask one question. Why did you get in the porn industry?
All right. Well, let's talk about that question that she asked first. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that point. Does she want children? Well, here's the thing that Mr. Whatever dude doesn't understand. Is it Brian or whatever from Mr. Whatever? He doesn't understand. However large this guy might be, however well endowed this man might be, and I looked it up. Size of her entire forearm. Very, very large. However large he is, guess what? It's not as big as a baby. And most people aren't getting C-sections. Some people do, but most people aren't getting C-sections. It's not as big as a freaking baby. So if he's concerned about whatever might happen down there because of his large endowment, the vulva snaps back into place because it snaps back into place after a baby. So it'll snap back into place after her fellow coworker. So all this fear about his size is just a fear that he won't be able to live up to it and won't be able to perform as well, which is part of their whole spiel as to why they want pure women in the first place, why they don't want women to have had a large sexual history or any sexual history, because they don't want to have to compete with anybody, because they don't want to have to put any effort towards sex to begin with. They don't want to have to put any effort. Because if they have to put any effort, then they're going to realize, and if the women that they are with have a past sexual history, they're going to be like, oh, these guys suck in bed, why would I stay with them? Let's continue.
That's a very loaded question.
Does it have to do with like family background or?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I got into porn. It was a personal choice. I wanted to get into porn. But I think what led me into sex work was stuff that was beyond my control. And it formed my mental in a certain way. And now I live with that and I make the best of it. And I think that when I was younger, like 18, like working at the strip club, I gained skills, like people skills, talking to people that I necessarily didn't really like or find attractive. And I got really good at making money off of that. I got really.
No, I will say she's very well spoken.
Like I got really good at making money off that. So
she's very well spoken. I mean, she's speaking to these people who are a bunch of a-holes who, clearly are judging her and being a-holes to her.
I was pissed because I wasn't making enough money for the effort that I was putting in, and I don't really care what people think of me, like sexually wise. Like I always want to be a good person. But
yeah, okay. So before you got into adult content, what was your thought process? Did you think, hey, I want to be a nurse? I want to, like, were there other options on the table? Like anything? Like photographer? Like teacher?
You can think what you want about this, but I used to joke in high school that I would be like the best porn star if I got into porn. I think like I've always been a sexual person. I've always really enjoyed physical sensation.
So you can obviously say no, but do you mind me asking?
Butler donated $99. The only test.
And see, this is crazy. You have people in this thing who donate $99 to make these super chats to say horrible things about, you know, about these people. So we're gonna skip the horrible things about the people and move on.
Yeah, that's a.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah, do you want to respond? Okay.
Bender the offender donated $99.
And another person $99.
Respond to either of those?
I definitely would take a herpes test if I needed to, but I also have never been put in the position where I need to take a test, and I've never had any symptoms, which has led me to want to take a test.
Do you mind me asking, like, would you mind sharing details about like your parents?
Yeah.
Are they still together?
No.
Okay.
Separated?
Yeah.
We're like from the get-go?
Yeah, Elizabeth, she's much more comfortable in her own skin than anybody else in the room. Absolutely. I mean, those people who on that side of the table, except for maybe the one in the weird hat, you know, all seem like and like they can't handle themselves. But she is like, I'm cool, I'm down, I'm whatever.
Go or like midway through.
Wait, hold on. What was it? Jeff, wait just a goddamn minute. I can get a job to sit around and talk to porn women? Apparently.
Grew up in a very wealthy neighborhood.
But you have to be judgy, apparently, because, you know, you have, in order to get, like, you know, $100 super chats, you have to treat them like garbage and judge them and call them out for being, you know, horrible, terrible people.
Just outside of DC. I grew up with, like, kids that had everything, like very first class.
Jeff, is herpes still a thing? I mean, it is. I mean, you can get herpes still. It's still around. It's not curable. You can get treatment for it, but it's not curable. And if you get it, you're stuck with it.
From like the ages of 16 to 18. Okay. So the second I turned 18, obviously that's going to cause an obsession with money. From having absolutely everything you can have in life to having nothing.
Of course, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that.
I mean, like, honestly...
Well, no, but...
Oh, and I guess this is what they say. To have a read and answer $49.99 plus instant is $99 Streamlabs only. So if you pay them $99 via Streamlabs, you get an instant amount of things. So that's how they're getting their chats up there. But holy crap, to be able to just throw $100 at somebody just to be able to say a crappy comment is crazy. What's up, TV2?
But that's a tough upbringing for anybody to go through.
Happened to me. I really appreciate that it happened to me because it shaped the way that I am for the better. That being said, I think it...
Do you think that if you didn't go through that particular event in your life, you would still be in the same industry that you're in?
I don't know. I've always had a passion for, like, animals. I love volunteering at the animal shelter, so I might have tried to do something with that. But I think ultimately... I probably still would have ended up doing OnlyFans, still would have ended up going into porn from that because that's just the type of person I am in general.
Can we just pull up the photo one more time? Can we just pull up the photo?
He is obsessed with that photo. I mean, here's the thing. I think he secretly fantasizes about that photo. I think he really likes that photo, and he likes thinking about that photo.
Listen, Molly, I love you. You're very kind. Maybe it's
he loves her. He would never date her because he's had all the other OnlyFans workers apparently ask him out, and he's rejected them. So he would never date her. But he loves her supposedly. If he loved her, he wouldn't treat her like she's garbage.
It's a stripper finesse, but no. She's wearing. Look, it seems like she has some jeans on. She has some jeans on. The other photo, this one, I mean, it could just be a friend, of course, right? Yeah. The other photo, though, probably, I mean, again, you're a great girl. I'm sorry, it's a wrap for 99% of dudes. They can't wife you.
Why? Again, if you're eventually going to have if you're going to wife her and eventually going to have a baby with her, because I mean, a lot of people who do get married eventually want to have a kid, and she said she would like to have a kid eventually, and well, kid's going to be larger than what he was. I mean, maybe not by too much, but still, the kid's going to be larger. Baby's going to come out larger. She's going to give birth. It's going to all snap back into place because that's how biology works. Holy crap. Kegels are a wonderful thing.
If I was dating you, okay, if I was dating you and I fell upon that picture, you know, like, here, why was I using a water bottle? I got this, son. Hold on, look at this shit. Look at the microphone.
Here.
It was like this. Oh, yeah, actually.
That's the funny part. But the OnlyFans woman is like, here's the microphone, and here's the microphone comparatively. I think the microphone doesn't do him justice, you know.
Wait, go ahead.
And Ken, yes, she is a woman, but, you know, a lot of the times, you know, when we're talking about these videos, we sometimes will, like, when I do reaction videos to like the abortion laws, and when I word abortion conversations, I try and word the abortion conversations. I try and make them gender non-specific because I understand that there are people who are not women who also get pregnant. But when I'm reading the arguments from other people, like from those like Supreme Court justices that write the bad rulings, or when I'm reading the opinions of other people about those rulings, and when I quote other people, I will quote from them. So like when I'm talking about these people and how these people are thinking, I will tend to use their terminology to describe how they would view the people, if that makes sense. Yes, him using girl sounds very demeaning, because it is demeaning, because he's demeaning her, because he demeans all women who are in the adult industry, because he doesn't view them as pure or whatever, or as somebody who is potentially wifeable. Elizabeth, she is pretty. Yeah, she's very pretty. She's a very pretty woman. She's very intelligent, and she seems to know what she's doing, and she has no problem with it, and she has a very good sense of humor, obviously. What's with the brain bucket on the girl standing behind the dude asking questions? I have wondered that for a very long time. I think I've seen her talk maybe once in all of the videos that I've seen. And I'm just shocked that it's because rarely you'll see another dude. Usually it's him and like 8 other women. Sometimes it's, you know, the guy. Now you've seen, so here you have another guy jumping in the conversation, but usually it's just him and like a whole bunch of other women.
Particularly hiding.
And the sex doll.
This side of her, so
that is so burned into my fucking retina. Okay,
and he's probably thinking about it every night, using like buckets of lotion.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't. You're very nice. You're very sweet, but it's like.
Well, obviously her boyfriend's okay with it.
Yeah.
Else he wouldn't be dating
boyfriend.
Her.
Well,
but I'm saying
argue,
for 99%.
No, yeah,
no, I
so
know.
99%.
And 99% of people she's probably not interested in dating, because 99% of people, if they can't handle the fact that she's made a choice in the industry that she wants to work in, oh well, their loss, her gain. She doesn't have to deal with them. But I'm sure a good chunk of that there's a solid chunk of that 99% who are still paying money to see her OnlyFans, who are still paying money to see whatever other videos that she's in, who are paying her paychecks. She's making money off of a bunch of those people.
90% of men.
Yeah, exactly, Elizabeth. He needs backup of this one because he can't handle it, because he's so enthralled. I think he needs to consistently justify the fact. I think he has a crush on her, and I think he needs to continuously justify why he shouldn't be having a crush on her by continuously going back to the fact that, you know, oh no, she was with a big scary black guy, so therefore I can't possibly want to be with her, but oh my god, she's nice and pretty, so why am I still having these feelings?
Aside from the...
I'm sorry, Molly.
Aside from the sexual promise...
You're not sorry. If you were sorry, you wouldn't be saying all this crap.
That's why the word average exists.
Yeah, okay, so... Whatever.
99% of men, that's average.
Well, no, but...
I want to be above average.
I don't think that's
statistically
how the math works.
Whatever.
I don't think that's how the math works.
Yeah, math, it's the standard deviation, and that's not 99%, but whatever.
You can be smart and not be good at math.
Anyway, so aside from the obvious sexual implications with your job that would turn off pretty much any man.
Pretty much any man. Well, at least the two here, and, you know, maybe a good bunch of the audience, at least, you know, who probably would never have a chance with her anyway.
Except very, very few. There are other things that are, I think, in the background that are super concerning. First...
Oh, tell us your concerns, oh concerned man.
I kind of get the understanding that most people that go into the S-work industry, they...
The S-work industry. Oh, you can't say sex work? Is it a too dirty word for you to say? You can't say those wordy dirds?
Do it because it's easy money, and they say... I usually hear the rhetoric, it makes me happy, I enjoy it, I like the attention, whatever. They give their reasons. I would argue that people nowadays have a increased tendency to seek instant gratification.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a problem. I think men and women...
It's such a problem.
...suffer from that, but especially...
It's not a good thing that women get instant gratification, because that way we can't, you know, justify our being men and being the providers. If women can get instant gratification from any other things, they can't get gratification for us as male providers, and therefore we no longer have roles in society that we want to have and upkeep our roles as the patriarchy.
In the S-work industry, the instant gratification that is chased has way more damaging effects down the road than they are willing to understand. And somebody who is willing to suppress that knowledge is not going to have a good relationship in the end. Any man who is willing to say, I don't care that you are in this...
Who says that they're going to suppress the knowledge? What if they just don't have a problem with it, or maybe they're even turned on by it? There's a certain percentage of the population who have certain kinks, and maybe they incorporate that into their kinks. But maybe he hasn't thought about that. I mean, conservatives love to throw the word cuck around all the time.
90 seconds.
Why am I saying 90 seconds? Whatever. I made it 3 hours, not 2. Anyway, the conservatives love to throw the word cuck around, and they vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who definitely cucked her husband. Probably was not consensual, but there are other people who do have that sort of kink, I guess, and, you know, that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do, and
60 seconds.
People have those sort of open type of relationships, swinger type of relationships all the darn time, and they don't have to understand it, but it's fine. And if her boyfriend or husband, maybe her boyfriend or husband's also in the industry, I think somebody may have suggested that, but even if they're not, if they don't have a problem with it, who are they to judge? Maybe they're happy with the fact that she could bring in a whole crap ton of money, and then he could just, you know, sit home and play video games all day, and then she comes home and he has a beautiful wife who brings in home a lot of money.
Sexualized industry, because there is a tendency for instant gratification instead of prolonged gratification, like when you go to the gym.
10 seconds.
Why can't you have both? Why can't you have instant gratification and prolonged gratification? They're not mutually exclusive.
You're not going to see a change change instantaneously. My first day in the gym, I'm not going to get ripped.
Oh no, but I mean, but you can still feel, you still feel good effect. I mean, I've been to the gym before. I've worked out. I felt good after working out. You can still feel the good effects from working out after a day, and also feel good after working out after a while. They're, again, not mutually exclusive. Elizabeth, I would argue this dude needs to lighten up and get laid already. Crap, what the hell did their parents teach them? Nothing good, apparently. Thems that can do and those who can't talk about it endlessly out of jealousy, right? Elizabeth, I get it. Dude's parents do not want grandchildren. That would explain why this guy is so uptight. A beach in Europe might bend.
But someone who goes to the gym for 10, 20, 30 years, after 30 years, there is, well, muscular gains, but there's also, you can provide, like, you can be there for your wife physically, you can be there for your kids, your grandkids, and there are future gains to be had, future gratification that is just...
I don't get this point at all. This is like rambling nonsense that has no bearing. Like, maybe after, you know, her being in the porn industry for a good 5-6 years, she can make enough money where she can retire and not do anything else for the rest of her life. And then she gets to have gains. Or maybe she invests that money and, you know, is able to live off of those investments for the rest of her life, and therefore doesn't have to do anything else for the rest of her life and can live a good, happy life, and it can have gains for the long-term future for her and her family and her grandkids.
Just kind of absent. When you participate in S work, it is instant gratification with...
I mean, how immature is he that he can't even say the words sex work? Sex work. Sex work.
The ignoring of major future consequences.
Like, do you...
What major future consequence? Maybe he hasn't even mentioned any possible major future consequence. He just thinks that there might be one, but never even says what one might be.
Consider, like, how this would, because I know you said that you want to have children one day. Do you ever consider how that, like, your work might affect your children one day?
Yeah, I do think about it.
And do you think it will?
Of course it will. Negatively, it might, but I definitely don't think it will positively affect them, other than the fact that I'm able to, like, be financially stable. Yeah, for them.
There you go. Financial stability. She can make good money off of it. Apparently she is.
I think that it would either affect them negatively or neutrally. And I think that basically all depends on me and how I explain it to them.
Okay.
So I can pretty much promise you it will negatively affect them.
Oh, I could pretty much promise you how. How do you? I'm sure there are parents, there are people who I'm sure who have or been in the porn industry who have kids whose parents have been open and honest with them and whose have not been negatively affected. I mean, again, what data, what research are you pulling out of your butt to say this? Or are you just being judgy like the rest of the fools?
Why?
Why? Because that is...
Your kids are going to get bullied.
Yeah, your kids are absolutely going to get bullied,
but they're
first of all.
Get bullied
so
for anything.
It's not really up to you. It's up to the internet.
Yeah, it's publicly on the internet. Most of your content, I'm assuming, is free on the internet. If it's
the only way you could protect your kids is if you locked them in the house, had no internet access, and just like made sure that they lived, breathed, and died in that same house without seeing anything.
I mean, I just hope I would raise my child well enough so that they understand that I'm a human being and that's my job, and not
sure, but that's not how kids,
just like a sexual object.
Yeah,
but that, again, this is the problem with these types of folks, is that they're blaming her because other people's kids will bully her kids for her decisions, instead of blaming the other people's other kids' parents for not raising their kids properly, and not blaming the other kids for being bullies. That's the problem I have with conservatives, because these people are conservative, and their support and their apologia for bully culture. They come to the absolute wrong conclusions when it comes to bullying.
But that's not how kids like perceive things. Kids are of course influenced by their parents, but they're very much influenced.
You know, there are people who would make the same argument that what would you tell your kids are going to be bullied because their parents are in a homosexual relationship? No. Well, or maybe your kids will be bullied. Well, might bully because your kids are in an interracial marriage, or in a. You can make that argument about anything that you don't agree with, right? I'm sure there are people who made that argument about interracial marriages, made the arguments about interfaith marriages, who made the argument about all sorts of different decisions that people make. It doesn't make the bullying okay. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be doing it. It means you should be stopping the bullying. Teach the kids to not be little pieces of crap.
Influenced by their peers, and if their peers...
No, they're being influenced by their parents, and their parents need to do a better job parenting.
They're going to school saying, I saw your mom naked on the internet. That's absolutely going to negatively impact them, how their friends look at them, how people look at you.
And then you'd be like, well, I saw your mom naked last night. Word. Mic drop.
You and view your family.
I agree with that, but I also think...
Elizabeth, exactly. These are the a-holes who would raise those bullies. And they wouldn't correct those bullies.
That every judgment made says more about the person that makes the judgment rather than the person that they're judging.
Well, if
but
the
it's going to affect
accurate,
your kids, that's what they're saying.
But the judgment's not accurate because you're being judgy over something that's her personal... As long as everyone's consenting, what's the problem?
If the judgment is if the assessment is accurate, then
if the shoe fits.
Again, I think that the bullying from the other children that would potentially come down from my children would come from parents that pass down negativity onto their children.
I mean, yeah. So
like bullying wise,
yeah, go for it, Brian.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Quick
Yeah,
point.
sorry.
I think point, and I have to move
on. So, like actions speak louder than words. So you say you're going to raise your kids in a way that makes them understand. You can say that until you're blue in the face, but if they see different, if your life shows different, then they don't care. Like, how many people here have been raised by parents who they talk a good game, but in action they messed you up, which is heartbreaking. But a lot of people out there,
I mean, it very could well be in a situation where my parents may very well have messed me up. It doesn't mean that they raised me poorly or raised me to bully people or raised me to judge people for who they were. Like, my parents didn't raise me to bully people. My parents raised me to not bully people. It's one of the things they taught me to not do. They taught me to stand up to bullies. They taught me to fight back against bullies. That's what they taught me to do. Other people's parents didn't step in and teach them to not bully. That's why I have a problem with bullies. That's why I have a problem with people being apologists for bullies.
Like, their parents might say, like, I thought I was a good parent, blah blah blah, but in actuality, they did a terrible job.
I mean, I know plenty of moms in the porn industry that have great relationships with their children, and they're great moms.
I mean, that's anecdotal, but...
That's anecdotal. None of y'all have given anything other than anecdotes. None of y'all have given any proof, evidence, or anything. Y'all have just said, your kids are going to get bullied and therefore you're going to be a bad parent. Like, none of you have given any evidence. Everything y'all have given is anecdotal too, so shut up.
Like, you guys are speaking statistically, and I'm speaking from, like, real life, actual people that I've met, real...
They're not even speaking statistically. They're speaking from their opinions, and their opinions that they're pulling out of their a-holes. Anyway, so that's my comments and commentary on this video. Do you agree, disagree? Leave your comments in the section below. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, interact with all the other videos on the channel as well. Thank you very much, and you have a good day. Absolutely. She is absolutely the most healthy person in the room. P-Dubs, if you haven't left already, thank you very much. Thank you, Jolie, for showing P-Dubs GoFundMe. P-Dubs does need some additional help. If you can consider supporting P-Dubs, please help. Yeah, none of the other women there are speaking. They probably don't even want to get involved with it. They probably like, I can't handle. I don't want to be on the other end of this. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged by these people. You know? So anywho, so that was that. Just got a random text say, hi, Foxy. That was me, Jeff. Just kidding. Big Hook. Decriminalize sex work and let people live their choices. This religious subjective BS is an opinion which you can have, but not enforce on other separation of church and state people. Exactly. I agree with you 100%. All fans is an option. Many choose now to get out of the law. Consequences, risk of walking the streets. Anyone remember the green rule of killer Ashley? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people should be able to do only there are people who do OnlyFans who don't even do sex work on OnlyFans. They do other things on OnlyFans. There are people who do OnlyFans who don't do porn and just do softcore things like here's my feet, here's myself in a bikini or whatever. There are people who do OnlyFans who do full on adult work. And that's fine. Liberal Dan Radio is a sex positive podcast. We support people we support sex workers and believe sex work is real work and fully support the legalization of all sex work. So, anywho. But I do think, whatever. So parents don't teach them, which leads to unwanted pregnancy, and then the abortion debate where adults, the God Almighty pro-life fantasize about killing others with an AR-15. Exactly. Let he who hath not sinned cast the first stone. True. Anyway, with that, let's go ahead and end today's episode of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. Tomorrow, I hope every one of y'all has a happy Halloween if you celebrate. Get a lot of good candy. Share some with me if you can. If not, oh well, that's fine too. I will be back on Wednesday. Wednesday night, we're going to have New Orleans councilperson JP Morrell, who has already been on the show before. We're going to talk about some New Orleans issues, things that are going on in the city, and also statewide as well. I'm sure he'll have some things to say about the state party too, and some of the tone deafness of Katie Bernhardt. Until Wednesday, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.